So here we are once more in the south of Morocco. This year, the Marathon des Sables is the longest ever with 257 kilometers, a record distance covering 6 stages, and as usual, you carry all your own food with you. Included in the Ultra Trail World Tour, a series of long-distance races on natural terrain, the MSD brings together the best specialists of this discipline. This year's runners include the Moroccan team with the formidable trio of El Mouaziz, El Akkad, and Rachid El Morabiti, 3 times winner of this race. Chema Martinez from Spain, another potential winner, has come to defend the European contingent. I trained well for this 31st edition, even better than last year. I feel stronger mentally. I'll do my very best. If I'm the best, that's great. If I come in second, that's just the way it is. For the Frenchman Eric Claverie, it was his first Marathon des Sables, so something of a discovery. There are so many elements that it's difficult, especially over a week, to guess at any particular ranking. I'll do as well as I can. More and more women are taking part in the MDS. This year they accounted for 20% of the lineup. Elizabeth Barnes is one of them. She came to defend her title.
You know, this race is always difficult to predict how it's going to go. I think it's a very strong women's field this year, so probably any one of 6-7 women can win the race.
The competition is led by Laurence Klein and also Fernanda Moura Atunes and Nathalie Mauclair, who are newcomers to the race. I decided during last year's race to look more closely at the Marathon des Sables. Before that, I'd always considered it a bit of a crazy competition, but I felt like trying something new. This edition was an opportunity to get back to basics, with a lot of sand in store. Tomorrow, the first stage will take us over 12 kilometers through the Merzouga dunes, then the Znagi Erg for another 3 kilometers. These are high dunes, they're not mini dunes. The first stage will get everyone in race condition. There'll be sand every day, especially in the 42-kilometer stage, which is totally new, with 3 ergs to cross. It's a magnificent stage, and we're delighted to be offering it. The final stage, Charity UNICEF, will be a completely new one. The long stage, that's the 82-kilometer one, will cross some magnificent areas, especially in the Jebel Zereg, which is an area I really love.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
During the Marathon des Sables, wind is one of the worst problems the runners have to face. The weather isn't as hot as I thought, so that's good. I'm really determined to get to checkpoint 2 and finish this first stage. There was no way this natural and unavoidable obstacle was going to slow down the lead runners. By setting a very fast pace right from the start, El Morabiti, Moudouji, and El Mouaziz positioned themselves as natural leaders in the first stage. Running in an average of over 12 kilometers in the dunes, they didn't intend to let anyone else lead the race to the finish line. Relegated by over 10 minutes, Chema Martinez and Eric Claverie began a long duel for the top places. In the women's race, although Mauclair and Barnes confirmed their great shape, finishing 2nd and 3rd, it was the surprising Russian Natalia Seduk who came first. Each year, the Marathon des Sables is an opportunity to discover some amazing competitors, like the British Duncan Slater, seriously injured in a military operation in Afghanistan. Both his legs were amputated, but that doesn't stop him from taking up exceptional challenges like the MDS.
So I did a trip in 2013 to the South Pole, an expedition, and then I did the London Marathon last year, and this year I really wanted to come and do this for charity, to raise money, but also for the physical challenge to do something really fun and exciting. So yeah.
The second stage is 41.3 kilometers long and takes the runners across some spectacular ergs and along some dry riverbeds. Applying the same race tactic as the previous day, El Morabiti and El Moaziz reached each checkpoint in the lead before crossing the finish line over 20 minutes ahead of Chema Martinez. I'm really pleased to win this second stage. It was very, very fast, but I managed it well. With his usual determination, Chema Martinez mounted his first podium by outdistancing Eric Claverie and two other newcomers to the MDS, Sondre Amdal and Jason Schlarb.
That is new to me. You know, do I push as hard as I can yesterday or today, or you know, it's difficult for me to weigh that and understand how to push my body when I need to be running fast all week long. So
running in the sun is a little bit like running in the snow. So it's a little bit similar to what I do at home.
Natalia Seydoux confirmed her domination in the women's race with a second stage win. But the surprise came from Laurence Klein. Due to a physical problem, the triple winner of the MDS gave up mid-race. I have a sore tendon. It's really sore. So the chances of seeing a French woman on the podium fell to Nathalie Mauclair. Completely at ease on this new terrain, she finished second again, while Barnes conceded her third place to Fernanda Moura Antunes. The dreaded desert wind rose this time at the end of the stage. This unexpectedly severe weather transformed the bivouac into a survival camp, lost in the storm. After a restless night, the marathoners were delighted to see the beautiful sunrise over the dunes, ready for a new start. In this third stage, 37.5 kilometers, the runners would have to cope with a number of changes in relief. Sand to start with, followed by an erg, then a very steep rocky climb up a jebel and some big dunes, followed by a wed up to Bahalou, an ancient town. In this rugged, burning hot decor, Rachid El Morabiti set off once again. With 3 wins in a row, the runner from Zagora ran a perfect race. Chema Martinez, Carlos Sa and the other regulars of this race had to make do with the places of honor. In the women's race, it was the same scenario. No one seemed able to match Natalia Seydoux, who also carried off her third win in a row. Always ahead of Nathalie Mauclair and Fernanda Moura Atunes, who had an excellent start to the MDS. I'd really like to get right to the end, and if I could finish on the podium, it would be fantastic. You need an excellent physical preparation to cope with the heat and sand. But you also need to be able to find your way in this race, because it's easy to get lost in the desert. To limit the risks, each runner has a very detailed road book. Here you can see checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, 195 degrees, it's all marked. Sometimes we follow the group, but there are also marks which show you which road to take.
It's really helpful to know where the hard bits are and how long they're for, so that when you enter a dune, you know it's only going to be 3K. So we don't know them off by heart, but I've always got it in my pocket just in case.
The fourth stage is the most difficult in the MDS. It's also the longest, 84.3 kilometers. In order to remain in the race, the participants would have to run the equivalent of 2 marathons in under 35 hours. For everyone to be able to run at night, the long stage was started in 2 groups, 3 hours apart. This very physical fourth stage included the hugely difficult crossing of the dreaded Djebel Otfal just after the first checkpoint.
Yes, on top.
I'm too old for this. He's too old. I'm too bloody old. Bloody hell.
There were too many people for the climb, with 2 or 3 viewpoints where you can admire the scenery. Really a great, great day.
We come from beautiful Guatemala, 4 of us, Team Iron Guate, having a beautiful time in this horrible race. Animo.
It's windy here, so I'm okay. Only 70 kilometers to go. It's easy. We'll run them like this. After a very fast start, the leaders of the second wave joined the first group in less than 4 hours. A performance that enabled all the participants to appreciate the effort of the lead runners, who crossed the dunes at over 12 kilometers per hour on average. In this race against time, Chema Martinez seemed to be able to keep up the pace, but once again, the Moroccan runners would show that they were faster. Behind them, Eric Claverie adopted a pace that enabled him to keep contact while outdistancing his main rivals, like the Portuguese Carlos Sa, always very much at ease on this difficult terrain. For the Norwegian Sondre Amdal, running on sand was more difficult than running on snow. With each checkpoint, El Morabiti put more pressure on El Mouaziz by increasing his pace. This strategy allowed him to be the first to cross the finish line alone, after covering the 84.3 kilometers in just 8 hours and 11 minutes. Chema Martinez also held his distance and finished third. ahead of Aziz El Akkad and Eric Claverie. It's fabulous. It's really hard. It's incredibly hard every day. Hot. Very, very hot and difficult. Jean-Sébastien Braun, Carlos Sa, and Marco Pajusco made up the top 10, which also included Nathalie Beauclair. Having overtaken Natalia Seydoux halfway through, she made her first stage win in the MDS ahead of the Russian and of Fernanda Moura Atunes, still running strong. The terrain is much better for me here because it's rocky. I managed to get ahead. While the leaders were enjoying a full night's rest, behind them, the track looked like a never-ending procession. Walking in the light of a headlamp, a lot of runners in this stage had one aim in mind: to reach checkpoint 5. We're going to sleep for half an hour now, we'll eat, there are 3 of us, and then we'll set off again.
I'm happy to be here.
Long day. Long day.
A long moment of solitude. I was thinking of giving up. In my head, I'd already given up. Then a race commissioner persuaded me to carry on. He was right. I got my second wind and I feel better. I was last, it was a struggle, but I'm going to finish. I'm really going to finish. Everyone stands together because we're all in the same boat, whether you're Russian, French, English, Belgian, or Chinese. We've all got the same dream, and we all want to finish. I met some great people during the really tough times. I spent 5 hours with this guy, hand in hand, in 2007. I remember it well, and I'm sure he remembers me, because it was a really tough time. And we ran 20 kilometers together. That's the Marathon des Sables for you. I stopped to sleep twice. I have to set off now or I'll get there too late. See you next time. Concluded after 34 hours of racing and the arrival of the last runner, this double marathon will have left some painful physical marks. A stop-off at the Doc's Trotter tent proved essential. Today is a big day for feet. We're expecting between 500 to 600 runners for foot treatment. As of now, we've already seen 250 and the morning isn't over yet.
Les verts numéro 8, 9, 10. Green 8, 9, 10. Verde 7, 8, 9, 10. Come on, yeah, come on.
Stage 5. The last one counting for the final rankings with its 42.195 kilometers, runs through some amazing scenery. Running through several ergs at imposing dunes between Hassi Trafa and Bou Maklouf, this ultimate marathon was also the last opportunity to determine the final podium. To ensure a triple Moroccan win, El Morabiti and El Mouaziz had decided to run the race as a team. Ranking 4th behind Chema Martinez, El Akkad would have to make a considerable effort to try to regain 8 minutes over his rival. To avoid losing his 3rd place, Chema Martinez had only one option: to go all out for 42 kilometers. Starting at the pace of a road marathon, El Akkad very quickly turned this last stage to his advantage. Benefiting from the speed of his teammates, he made up lost time with each step. Unable to keep up the same pace alone, the Spaniard regularly lost time at each checkpoint. Chema Martinez finished 7th in the stage, with El Mouaziz winning ahead of El Akkad and El Morabiti. He saw his 3rd place on the podium blown away on the desert wind. For Eric Claverie, it was the opportunity for one final effort to reach 5th place at the finish. It was a remarkable performance for the Frenchman, as this was his first race. In the women's race, Natalia Seydoux, having found her best pace, finished by winning her first Marathon des Sables. Behind her, Nathalie Mauclair took a fine 2nd place in overall ranking, ahead of Fernanda Mura Antunes from Spain. Concluding with a charity stage on behalf of UNICEF, the 31st Marathon des Sables has lived up to all its promises. This final non-ranking stage ended in the 4th consecutive win by Rachid El Morabiti, ahead of Abdelkader El Mouaziz and Aziz El Akkad. Another win and medal dedicated to all the marathoners who pursued their dreams right to the end. An absolutely perfect solidarity between runners. Incredible self-fulfillment. I want to do it again. I want to come back. See you in 2017. See you next year.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.